again, part 3. All right, so we've created a table or inserted a table that was 3, or originally it was 2 columns, 2 rows, and then we inserted an additional column in between the 2 columns we had originally inserted. We showed you in the last video how to insert columns, insert rows, delete columns, delete rows, how to adjust the width of columns and the height of rows, and also adjust the width of an individual cell. And so now what I wanted to show you was something that I find a lot of people don't know how to do. I work with a lot of corporate businesses locally here in the Tampa Bay area. And I work with the Unemployment Office, Career Source, and some of the other government agencies. And I get a lot of forms to fill out, and I see these forms and I think, oh my God, I need to go teach them how to create a streamlined fillable form that you can actually fill out. So if you guys have ever gotten a form that you're supposed to fill out and it looks something like this, you can just watch me type. And somebody does the shift and the minus key to create that underline. And then so you're supposed to eventually, when you get the form, go put in your name. And this happens. If that's not the most frustrating thing ever, I don't know what is. Especially if you had something right after that. So we'll say name, phone, and email, something like that. Okay. And somebody does the underline thing. And let me do it again here. And then so your job is basically to fill this out. And so you come over here and you type in your name. And then what was email over here is now jumped down to the second line. And then you click over here and then you type in your phone number, excuse me. And now you got to come down here and do the email. And then there's this big gap between, you know, the spacing underneath your phone number where you typed in your phone number and your name, and then eventually your email. Okay, so that's the wrong way. The right way would be to insert a table. Create a separate cell for each individual piece of information. Okay, so if we want name, we could put address over here, phone and email over here if you want. I'll just do them all in a row. However, in order to actually have somebody be able to put their name and the address, phone and email in these individual cells, you want to create some fields, some field codes. And these would be considered text field codes. And there's a great tool in Word called the Legacy Tools, which is in your developer tab. And if you don't have a developer tab up in your ribbon, which you probably don't unless you've customized your ribbon before, your developer tab would appear if you go customize your ribbon. So in order to do that, all you have to do is right click on any one of the tabs at the top and go to Customize Ribbon. When you go to the Customize Ribbon screen, you get into this Word Options screen and you end up in the Customize Ribbon menu. There is another way to go there. If you go to File and you go to Options, it'll also pull up this Word Options menu where you can then go to Customize Ribbon, and then we're back where we were before. Now, one thing I wanted to show you was over on the right side, these are some main tabs that some of them you will see in your ribbon, like your home, your insert, and all that. But you also have a tab called Developer. And if you don't see the check mark next to Developer in the box, then go ahead and click on that box and it will add the check mark. And then go ahead and click OK. And give it a second, and when you do, you will then see the Developer tab on your ribbon. Then go ahead and click on your Developer tab, and you will see this controls group, and you have a left side and a right side to your controls group. And we are talking about the left side in this particular video, and particularly this little, almost looks like a little suitcase or a toolbox. That is called your legacy tools. And if you hit the drop down, you have legacy forms and ActiveX controls. The top part of this menu is where we're going to focus our attention. And specifically in the legacy forms, you have this little A, B, and a square. And that would be adding a text form field where somebody can just type in whatever they want to type in, numbers, letters, doesn't matter. And then to the right of that, you have a little checkbox. So this is would be if you wanted to create a fillable form where somebody is checking a box. Check this for yes, check this one for no. Or on a scale from 1 to 5, click whatever, and you put a checkbox next to each number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you have a drop-down form field. So if you've ever been online and you click on a drop-down menu, and you see like a list of things and you click on one to select it, that's what that is, a drop-down form field. So you can create your own drop-down list to make it easier for somebody to fill out a form. And that's pretty much where we're going to stand, is those 3 icons. The other one, which is cool, is a date picker. That's not in the legacy tools, but the date picker it kind of looks like a calendar. Yours might be in a different spot than mine, but you will see date picker content control. And that's where you can, like if I just click on it, there it is. It inserts a date picker where somebody would click on a drop down and there would be the calendar and they would pick a date. Pretty simple, huh? And then I can just undo that actually. And so those 4 things is usually what we focus on in our Word 4 class, which is all about inserting tables and navigating tables, and then creating a fillable form using text form fields, checkboxes, drop-down lists, and the date pickers. But in this case, I just want to have somebody be able to type their name and then tab. And when they tab, I want them to automatically come down here next to, not in, but next to where it says address. Same thing when they type in their address and they hit tab, and they tab into the phone section where they're in the second cell, not the first cell. And I've had that happen too, where I tab and it tabs me in here. And when I start typing in a phone number, it takes away whatever phone that is. So if you have a home phone, cell phone, business phone, they end up not knowing which phone number that is. So it can get pretty frustrating. So I'm going to click back up next to the name cell. So I'm just to the second cell over. So my cursor is blinking there. And I'm going to go to the legacy tool. So in your developer tab, in your controls group, your legacy forms, and I'm just going to drop a text form field right there. And I'm going to do the same thing. Now I could just copy and paste, but the power of repetition, I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to hit the drop down on the legacy tools and insert a text form field next to address. Same thing with phone and same thing with email. And in order for this to work, I'm going to click back up on the one next to name, because when I restrict editing, that's where I want somebody to start. And so it's important that when you go to restrict editing, you are on the spot where you would want to start filling out this form. So in this case, it would be next to the name. So before this is going to work, you have to restrict editing. Okay, so again, in your developer tab, restrict editing is also in your review tab, way over here to the right in the protect group. So you can restrict editing from either location. So I'm going to click on restrict editing, and I'm going to get this extra side panel pop up on the right side, where it's then going to ask me, well, what kind of restrictions do you want? I want to have some editing restrictions. So what this person is not going to be able to do is change where I put name, address, phone, and email. And they're also not going to tab over into this third column. Okay. So when they tab, they're only going to be able to fill out the pieces of this form that I'm allowing. And so where it says formatting restrictions, I'm not going to do anything with formatting restrictions, because if they want to type in their name and make it bold, I'm fine with that. But the number 2 option in this right side panel is allowing the editing options. So I'm going to check yes, I'll only allow this type of editing in the document, and then I have to choose what type of editing I'm going to allow. I'm going to check the number 2 box, and I'm going to hit the drop down, and I'm going to allow filling in forms. And that's pretty much it. Step number 3 is, are you ready to start enforcing the restriction? Yes, I am. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes, start enforcing protection. And it's going to ask me if I want to password protect it. I'm going to say no, I'm just going to leave that blank and click OK. And notice what happens when I tap my tab key. It strictly goes from one text form field to the next. So I'm going to type my name and tab. My address, tab. My phone number, might as well put in my real phone number, right? And my email. And that's it. Wasn't that easy? Now, say I had a typo. Say I only had one D in address or one S in address, and I'm just catching this now. I can't get in there, right? So I'm trying to click inside these little cells here that have these words, and I can't do it. Why? Because I restricted editing. So the only places somebody can edit are in the fillable parts. And in this case, it was just the text form fields. So I first have to come over here to the right side and stop protection. Once I stop protection, I'm kind of back to square one where I can turn on the restrict editing again. But before I do that, I would come over here, fix the typo, come back over here and start enforcing again. And that's going to give me a little pop-up asking me if I want to password protect it again. I'll just not put anything in there and just click OK. And then I'm back to restricting editing. So very cool. So that's it. There's so much more to creating fillable forms. I'm going to do some more videos with working with tables. I find that working in tables and also creating fillable forms is probably the most common issue that I see with not only my corporate clients, but my students that come to me that have worked with Word before that have never had the formal training of how to do this the right way. And so whenever we do the Word 4 class, my students always have these aha moments like, wow, if I only knew this back when I was working for such and such. But I do training I contract with the unemployment office here locally in the Tampa Bay area, CareerSource Pasco Hernando, CareerSource Pinellas, and CareerSource Tampa Bay. And I have classes to help those folks that are unemployed get the training they need with their computer skills, get up and running and get out there and get more competitive in their job search. There are grants out there, and I will tell you 90% of my students are on grants. In other words, they get their training funded for free. So if you're interested, definitely give us a call. There's a number right there on the screen, and you can shoot me an email. You can also go to our website, www.accesscomputertraining.com. And you can also like our Facebook page, and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks, and have a great day.